guys for sticking around. They should be in the lobby. Okay, I just want to thank the Mahaffey Theater Foundation. I'd like to thank the Serrata Resort. And I'd like to thank once again my brother Steve and Mr. Gary Booz for allowing us to have the shirts. And thank you once again, folks. And here we go with the music of Frank Zappa.
I'm Miranda, and I'm here with Jerry Outlaw, and we're going to talk about his concert at the Mahaffey Theater. Tell me about Bogus Pomp and how it all started.
Well, it started back in '94 with myself and keyboardist Rick Olson, and we got together for some informal kicking around of, various types of music, and just the idea came up to let's learn a Zappa song one night, and we just got so charmed by the idea that we kept going with it, and a couple more people got involved, and before we knew it, we had a 4-piece band, and literally it just snowballed from there and got bigger and bigger every year.
Tell me about your influence with Frank Zappa.
Well, Frank Zappa was a big influence on me when I was a young child, before I was ever a musician. And I got into his music because it was silly and different, and the lyrics were unusual, and I kind of went away from it and got into different stuff, hard rock and stuff like that, and then after I was a musician for a number of years, I came back to Frank Zappa's music, and it had a huge impact on me after I already knew some things about music, and from there it was just inspiration after inspiration to learn more of his material because it's so challenging. But I'd leave the sweet stuff to somebody else. Then again, on the other hand, I would keep the wax, melt it down, pluck the floss, and swish it around, and I'll have me a crop, and then be on top. That's why I'm moving to Montana.
How did you get interested in playing the guitar?
Well, I think every kid at one point in his life has that idea, like, boy, I'd sure like to be a rock and roll guitar player.
Yeah.
And that happened to be more impactful on me in my case than wanting to be a doctor or scientist or whatever else someone wants to be. So naturally I just gravitated toward, listening to music every day all the time. And
So you're self-taught?
Yes. Yeah, it was just something that I was driven to do as a kid.
That's cool. about all the past bands that you've been in?
Well, I've been in a lot of bands that, you know, started out with country rock and blues, you know, and then got into, you know, the 70s style rock and roll, and all the way up through a lot of years I was really into, you know, hard rock and the heavy metal stuff that was popular in the 80s, and, you know, went through some kind of, you know, heavy strands music in the early 90s, and definitely the most fulfilling thing I've done so far is my Bogus Pomp project, because it's just the music that means the most to me. I mean, I'm not the type of writer who writes a song every day, you know. I'm lucky if I write a song every few months. Or, you know, I'm not the most prolific writer, but I practice and play a lot. And Zappa's music intrigues me the most, so I feel like if I've tackled some of that material in a way that does justice to it, I've really done something artistically valuable, you know. So so far in my life, I've got the most joy and artistic satisfaction out of playing Frank Zappa's music than anything else, even the stuff I wrote back in the old days. What the Bogus Pomp Orchestra involves is the 9-piece band, Bogus Pomp, with a 15-piece chamber ensemble added to it. So it's 24 musicians, and that's going to be something that we hope to make several events happen with the Bogus Pomp Orchestra instead of just the electric band.
So how did you end up meeting Napoleon Murphy Brock?
That was by luck too. Thank goodness for the internet, because that's how I met him. I met Napoleon through the internet. I met Ike Willis through the internet. I mean, the internet's a great thing. A lot of good things have happened for Bogus Pomp because of that. But I wrote Napoleon a letter once I found his email address, and he took my letter seriously and responded, and told him everything about Bogus Pomp and why we were doing what we do. I sent him a video, and he called me up and said, I think it's great and I'd like to try it with you guys. So the first few shows with Napoleon, needless to say, were phenomenal. Everybody in the band was in awe of Napoleon, and he really liked the way we did the material, and it was a wonderful collaboration. And since we met Napoleon, we've done our best shows, period. I mean, because we got to do the material that he was the singer on and one of the main participants in, and that's the material that's most endeared to us. So being able to do several years of that material with the actual vocalist is indescribable. It's wonderful. It's something that we'll never forget.
She was the daughter of a wealthy Florentine coash. We was her adjustable slogan. She was a debutante, daisy with a color nose.
That Bogus Pomp had the opportunity to work with the Florida Orchestra. Tell me about that.
Yes, on a couple of occasions we've had the opportunity to work with the Florida Orchestra. It's a great experience. Thomas Wilkins is a wonderful conductor, and everyone in the orchestra was very receptive to playing the Frank Zappa material. It was a challenge to them, and finally Frank Zappa's music is being taken seriously in the classical music community, and everyone saw it as a great success. The director of the orchestra was overjoyed after the first performance we did with the Florida Orchestra, because we sold out Mahaffey Theater. And the second time we did the performance with the Florida Orchestra was a full house at Mahaffey as well. And we got such a good response, and everyone involved in the orchestra was very happy with the final outcome. We got great reviews in the newspapers and all the local press. And it was a very memorable and culturally valuable event for Tampa Bay, because, you know, how often can you get a full 88-piece orchestra and a 10-piece electric band to play an all-Zappa program and do it with conviction and do it well? You know, that was a valuable thing for the community, for sure. But Zappaween is meant to be a freak show because every Halloween, Frank Zappa's concerts were renowned for being the best party in New York. So Zappaween is now renowned for being the best party in Florida for this kind of music. I mean, a lot of people, you know, go to Ybor City for Guavaween because it's always on the same night as we have Zappaween, but that's really not the crowd that we appeal to. That's more of a radio rock crowd, you know. We appeal to the people who like a little more sophisticated music. And Zappaween has really become a great institution that happens every year. People expect certain things from it. I try to give a guitar away to the best dressed freak every year, yeah. And it's a great time because we get to have a lot of fun and be stupid on stage and dress freaky. I usually wear a dress and it looks really disgusting, I assure you.
Are we moving too slow? Have you seen us on Corridos? We look pretty sharp in these clothes. Oh, yes, we do. Unless we get sprayed with that hose. It ain't that in the day. This world your way. September winter, winter's cold. And it's hard if it hits all your nose. Just keep your nose to the grindstone, they say. Will that redeem us or glory us? I can't wait till my fro is full grown. Oh no, I'll just throw away my do-rag at home. I took a drive to Beverly Hills just before dawn and knocked the jockeys off the rich people's lawn. And before they get up, before they get up, I'll be knocking the jockeys off the lawn down in the dew.
This has just been so much fun. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'm Miranda, and this is Jerry Outlaw. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.